Welcome back to Sober in the Sun. On the last video, we started to get to grips with what it is you believe about alcohol, and I cannot stress how enormously important that is. Your beliefs really do sit below your actions, but in between your beliefs and your actions are your thoughts. And once you've got your beliefs straight, you actually still need to get your thoughts sorted out. So you need a way of managing your thoughts. Now, I'll give you an example of where I got caught out, where I got stuck in a particular thought loop. Now, I don't know, whether you like Netflix or not, or what you're watching at the moment, but a little while back, I watched The Last Airbender. I think it was called Avatar, The Last Airbender. Anyway, it was quite good. I quite enjoyed it, but it gave me one particular problem. So here is a screenshot from it. This is pretty much the central character. As you can probably see, he's got a big arrow tattooed on his forehead, which in and of itself is an interesting fashion choice, but not, I suppose, a problem. Now, it caused me an enormous amount of problems because I kept looking at it and wondering whether they'd already always got the makeup in the right place. It seemed like the point of the arrow was always like in a slightly different place. Maybe it was like slightly above his eyebrows or below his eyebrows. I could never quite work out whether it was just bad continuity and it was moving around, or whether it was just me uh, being an idiot. Probably a bit of both. Who knows? Anyway, I don't think you need too much imagination to figure out what was happening with my viewing experience. Was I enjoying myself? Was I totally lost, totally caught up in that drama? Or was I massively distracting myself? Now, here's the thing. Would I have been able to change my thinking about it? Was I just totally locked into that pattern of thinking about where that damn tattoo was? Or could I change it and think something different? And I think this is one of the most fundamental questions of human life, actually. Are we able to change our thoughts? Because if we're not, well, then we're stuffed on. However, is my belief, and I think that the scientists are increasingly starting to support that your brain is plastic, it is malleable. You can change your thoughts, you can reroute them. See, the thing is, our brains are quite lazy and they like to follow grooves, don't they? They like to flow down a groove, like the water flowing down the course of a river. The water will always follow the course of the river unless there's something that gets in the way. So if you let your brain just be lazy, it will follow these grooves. It will just keep saying, oh, is that tattoo really in the right place? Have they really got the continuity right? But you can actually divert it. You can change the way that thought is going. You don't have to follow the groove. And that, I think, is really good news because alcohol creates grooves, doesn't it? It's like you are pouring alcohol down a valley and it's eroding away a groove, and it will just keep following that groove if you want. Now, let's think about some of the grooves that your mind follows. They follow on from those beliefs. You believe that socializing and alcohol go hand in hand, so you see some socializing in your brain, automatically goes down that groove. I should have a drink. That will help me enjoy the socializing. You've got a celebration. Can't have a celebration without alcohol. It's down that groove again. You're a bit tired. You think, oh yeah, alcohol always perks me up. Down that groove again. You're going to be meeting new people. You think to yourself, yeah, it always helps me get over my social anxiety if I have a little drink. You're down that groove again. So all of those triggers are basically just grooves. They're just thought patterns. Now, can you change them? Yeah, absolutely, you can change them. What I want to do is introduce you to the tactical change system. This is something that I have adapted from various different places, but it sort of will help you understand how your brain functions in these grooves and how you could maybe change it. So, as I say, it's called the tactical change system, basically because I like to sound manly. So let's think about one of those grooves, one of those triggers. Well, the sun. You know what? The sun is probably going to pull in a lot of those things: meeting new people, socializing, celebrating, a reward. All of those kind of things around alcohol, all those beliefs. A lot of the time, when we're out in the sunshine, we're having a wonderful time. It pulls in a lot of those kind of things. So that is a groove, isn't it? It's one of those triggers. And what's it make you do? Makes you have a drink, doesn't it? So almost it's a sunny day and you're already thinking about drinking. So what happens then? Well, you celebrate, don't you? You enjoy yourself. Wow, do you enjoy yourself? Is it really an enjoyable experience, or is it simply that is a lot of chemical action stimulated in your brain that creates these sensations of enjoyment to start off with? And then, of course, we end up chasing those initial feelings that you get. So the first drink might arguably actually be fairly enjoyable, but we never just have one. We always chase that enjoyable feeling, and we keep chasing it and keep chasing it and keep chasing it. And that's where the problems come from. So there is that kind of stimulation of certain parts of your brain with that first drink. But by the time you're on your second, your third, your fourth, you're into the problem territory with drinking. You're losing coordination, you're slurring your speech, your balance is going, your memory's getting shot, you're getting very, very boring, you're getting towards vomiting and passing out. But it starts off being a bit of a celebration. And that is why we get caught in it, because we think it's a good thing. Our brain then says we should do some more of that. I quite liked it when we had that first initial drink. So that's the system. How can you use it for your advantage rather than getting caught up in it with alcohol? How can you use it differently? Well, you can take that sun, and when you see the sunshine and you start to think about drinking, you can say something different. Instead of having a drink, you could use a mantra. Now, in this example, I have used "Real Men Quit." Partly I've used that because it's a really good mantra. Partly I've used that because it's a good advert for the book that I wrote. Look, I mean, mantras, I think they should be positive, and they should be about identity. And that's why I called my book Real Men Quit, because it is a positive statement of identity, that we are real men because we are quit, because we've stopped drinking. We are strong and we are powerful precisely because we have quit. So you don't have to do that. I mean, if you're not a man, it might not really resonate with you. We'll talk a little bit more about other mantras you could use in a second, but you're using a mantra. You're creating a new groove, aren't you? Instead of seeing the sun and having a drink, you're seeing the sun and you're saying something positive to yourself about who you really are. And then you celebrate. And the celebration is really, really important, because that celebration is what wires it into your brain. It's what makes your brain want to do it again and again and again. So celebration is very, very simple. I mean, you can do the Real Men Quit dance if you want. That's not dad dancing, that's Real Men Quit dancing. Or you could just smile, because smiling is an act of celebration, whether you are happy or not. If you smile, you put some of those happy brain chemicals into your head, and that ramps up the celebration. So when you get into a position where the sun is shining and your brain is saying, let's have a drink, you need a mantra to kind of reorientate those thoughts, to create a new groove to start sliding through, rather than just having a drink. So let's talk about some of the mantras that you could use. There are a lot out there. If you've got something that you particularly like, then use that. They work best if they are positive and they are about who you are. Some of the other ones that I've come across that I really, really like, one of the people I worked with was very keen on "I haven't come this far only to come this far." I think that's a fantastic sentiment, very positive, very much who she was. You could also rip off a bit of Martin Luther King, "Free at last, free at last, praise the Lord, I'm free at last." That one always resonated with me. You could go shopping on the internet. There are lots of them out there, but just make sure it's something positive and it suggests something to you, and it is about who you are and who you want to be and your own progress. So find yourself a mantra. That really is what you need to do. Find yourself a mantra and then start applying it. So whenever you're getting this idea that maybe having a drink would be a good idea, I want you to repeat that mantra to yourself. I want you to smile, I want you to celebrate, and then I want you to move on and get on with what you are doing. So if you walk in to the pub and you see somebody having a drink, you want to be like, real men quit, smile, and then go and start socializing, go and start talking to people. Now, that's one of the ways you can use to get to grips with your thoughts. On the next video, we're going to talk a little bit more about the fallout around not drinking and how you can go to these social events where everybody else is drinking and maybe they're putting a bit of pressure on. So that's the next video. I'll see you on that one. Thank you very much.